بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده ونشكره على هدايته ونصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين. Surah Qasas, ayah number 5. Indeed, it is our intention to favor those who are oppressed and marginalized in the land and to make them leaders and make them inheritors. First, I would like to start by offering my congratulations on this holy occasion of the 15th of Sha'ban. May Allah grant us the privilege of being among the true followers of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. The theme of the return of our living Imam, or becoming visible, and it's very complex as well as fundamental and central theme for the Shia 12ers in particular. There are other fringe groups in Islam that they have claimed their own Mahdi, or either somebody appearing of Al-Mahdi, or one of their Imams going into occultation to be Al-Mahdi. The Ismailis, particularly the Sixers, Agha Khanis, although the Bohras, both of them shared this common understanding that the beginning of their faith comes from the claim or assertion that Ismail, the son of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, went into occultation, despite the fact that Ismail died during the life of the holy Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. And Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq took many steps to publicize this and bring people to see that his son has passed away. But these people insist that no, such a tradition is not correct, and he actually went into occultation and ghaiba. The first time that we hear, although we have numerous ahadith from the Holy Prophet, starting from the Holy Prophet, that lists the 12 Imam and mentions that the last one, but in between there have been other people who have claimed one person or the other to be the Mahdi that had gone into occultation. Zaydiyya started with the same claim. There is also a number of ahadith regarding Mukhtar al-Thaqafi that he claimed Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah to be the Mahdi of his time. So we don't know how much truth there is, but there is certainly a claim. This verse, Qasas number 5, is among a number of verses in the Holy Quran that commentators have concurred that they are in reference to the coming of the Imam and the end of time. There are a number of topics that merge together with the concept of the return of the Imam. There is certainly part of it that speaks about the end of time, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after few years after the appearance of the living Imam, or reappearance of the living Imam, decides that the world has served its purpose, the creation has served its purpose, and wraps it up. And that becomes the beginning for the transition to the hereafter. That part of it is not something that I want to address today. By the way, the notion of end of time or eschatology, as academic refer to it, shared between Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and one or two other marginal or faith or ideology, fringe ideology, that certainly a time will come. The concept of rapture, for example, in Christian tradition refers to this particular time. That a time will come when the world will come to an end. And we have to think about, we may differ in the narrative that they use, but the eschatology and the end of time is there. The return of Mahdi, from our point of view, or the Messiah, or Jesus, or anything else, is, if we remove the name of who's going to come back, the concept itself is shared between all of us, and it is one of the ideals of human being, that ultimately there will be a day where the world will be filled with justice and equity rather than the tyranny and oppression that it is. So the return or the appearance of Mahdi, the concept of Mahdiya, gives hope to humanity to be able to overcome the challenges that they confront in their life. There are differences of opinion vis-a-vis whether these verses that whether it is Anbiya 105 وَلَقَدْ كَتَبْنَا فِي الزَّبُورِ مِنْ بَعْدِ الذِّكْرِ أَنَّ الْأَرْضَ يَرِثُهَا عِبَادِيَ الصَّالِحُونَ, or whether Qasas 5 actually refers to the coming of the Imam. Most of the Sunni scholars and commentators, they say no, it is in reference, particularly Qasas 5, it is in reference to Bani Israel. They don't want to be a reference to some notion of the return of the Imam, because most of them, they don't believe in it the way we do. The Sunni scholars, or the belief regarding the end of time or the return of Mahdi, can be divided into different categories. There are those who say, well, Mahdi is not a concept that we should think about it. It is something that happened at the end of time. Somebody will come, and doesn't have to be the descendant of the Holy Prophet, a good person that will come to lead humanity out of the crisis that they are facing. That's one group. The other group, they say they agree, or at least partially agree with us, that what we have, or the person that is coming, is going to be the descendant of the Holy Prophet, but he is not born yet, will be born somewhere in the future. And others, very few, or a small amount of a small percentage of the Sunni scholars agree to a degree with the notion of Mahdiya close to us. But at least from a Shia point of view, the number of verses that Mufassirin claim to exist in the Holy Quran that directly or indirectly makes reference to the return of the Imam is around 30 verses or passages in the Holy Quran. At least with regard to these two, Anbiya 105 and Qasas 5, most scholars, Mufassirin of Quran, commentators from the Shia point of view, they agree that it is specific. Particularly وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. It's the context, the way the expression is a future tense, is not about past, to say that it is about Bani Israel, and if they were to submit to the command of Allah, then they will be granted the inheritance of the earth. And even if they do, they say that it's the hereafter, not on this earth. The Sunni scholars. The Shia say no, it's in reference to the end of time with a group of conscientious, pure individuals, whether according to ahadith 313, 330, or this number metaphor, more or less, they constitute the individuals that are going to work with the Imam as the core group, the base, the political base, that ultimately they are given the authority to behave, to lead and control the world with the Imam. There are also a huge number of ahadith we have in text. Marhum Majlisi in Bihar al-Anwar, I think 13th volume of the old version of Bihar, which was translated by, I believe, Ayatollah Subhani, and it is called Mahdi Maw'ud. It's a very thick book, the thick translation in Farsi. But 13th volume is in Arabic. It's the old version, large book. Primarily talks, and if you go to alislam.org, I think some part of it has been translated and it's available. There are a few lectures given by Dr. Hamid Al-Gad in Berkeley University based on this concept of Mahdawiya and the appearance of the Imam. It's not bad, it's a very basic for the class, very basic. These ahadith also confirm this concept. There is a hadith from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullah wasalam alayhi that says, لو لم يبق من الدنيا إلا يوم واحد. If there is only one day left, the life of this earth, لطول الله ذلك اليوم, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to prolong that day حتى يخرج قائمنا أهل البيت, until the قائم, the one that is going to rise from Ahlul Bayt is reappears. فلا يبقى في الأرض خراب إلا عمر. His primary responsibility is literally to transform the world. Everything that has been destroyed, both in the matter of physical and the spiritual, will be recreated and will restart. There is another hadith from the Holy Prophet, لا تذهب الدنيا, very close to the hadith from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. لا تذهب الدنيا حتى يقوم بأمر أمتي رجل من ولد الحسين, or ولد الحسين. The end is not going to, the world is not going to end until somebody, descendant of Hussein, Imam Hussein, is going to come and become the leader of Ummah. يملأ الأرض عدلا وقسطا كما ملئت ظلما وجورا. Is going to literally transition and transform the world, take it out of tyranny, oppression and everything else into justice and peace and tranquility. The notion of the close concept in Christianity, the kingdom of heaven that ultimately will be created, is very close to this concept that يملأ الأرض عدلا وقسطا وعدلا كما ملئت ظلما وجورا. The whole world has got to be transformed. So the coming of Al-Mahdi is a very significant event. We have a number of ahadith as to exactly how this is going to happen and exactly when it's going to happen. Certainly, I have Sheikh Ali Qurani has got a book about Alaim al-Dhuhur. If you have time, it's in Arabic, I believe, translated, or I'm not quite sure, but certainly it divides all the ahadith that we have regarding the signs for the reappearance of Imam into different categories. Those who simply indicate the corruption that exists on earth. There are signs on the periphery that will happen as far as, say, a number of bridges on Euphrates in Baghdad is going to reach that number, this number, or the other number. But what are the critical factor for the reappearance is the last year, and particularly from Ramadan of that year until Muharram of that year. That on the night of power, the 23rd, there is a cry, a sayha, that Jibreel calls, at informing everyone, the world around. Everyone, according to hadith, hears this cry, this sayha, in their own language. So if you speak Spanish, you hear it in your own language. Arabic, it's in your own language. Persian, the same thing. And the sayha simply informed the world, be ready as the time is getting very close to the reappearance of Mahdi. According to this hadith, around the end of that night, Shaitan will send out another cry, countering literally the earlier cry, which causes confusion between the people as to exactly what's going on. But then the battle between Haqq and Batil, the concept of Dajjal, Sufyani, Khurasani, and so on, there are a group of people, in essence, there are two groups of people. One supported by major powers that are tyrannical, and they intend to dominate the world and destroy the pure souls that stand resisting them, that Quran refers to them, عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Here is the point. Quran says the concept of istid'af means people who are doing their best to challenge the tyrannical powers, but they are unable to make headway because of asymmetrical power relationship that exists between them. It doesn't mean that we sit down and do nothing waiting for the Imam to appear. And unfortunately, there are some people that have interpreted our responsibility during the time of Ghaybatul Imam as in a negative manner. That hadith says, كَمَا مُلِئَتْ ظُلْمًا وَجَوْرًا, for earth to be filled with injustice and tyranny, we really don't need to do anything. It's really mind-boggling that scholars of Shia say that we really don't need to do anything. As a matter of fact, if we were to do something, we are helping tyranny to exist rather than prolonging tyranny, rather than speeding up the process of the coming of the Imam. So do nothing. That's why you see them, a group of people, they don't participate in any battle against any oppression. They don't support those who stand up to oppression. They don't support muqawwimeen and mujahideen. They don't support anything. They just focus on ritual practices in Islam and what we call the Shia-Sunni conflict, and we have to wait until the Imam comes for the Imam to fix the whole thing. That's the concept of rapture in Islam. Miraculously, when the Imam comes, everything will be fixed. So the significance of the coming of the Imam is for the Imam to become visible. By the way, there is a debate as whether we can see the Imam or we cannot. There are two metaphors that are used. One of them is the sun under the cloud or covered by the cloud. That Imam functions like a sun during this period, but is covered by the cloud. You don't see it. The presence of the cloud doesn't mean that the sun is not functioning the way it is intended to. And this concept of cloud and veil has been interpreted by scholars in two ways. One is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, due to the fact that his life is in danger and he has to go through unique training and assisted by the divine guidance to make him ready for this monumental responsibility, it's better not to be visible but be active. So he is around. The mystics and the Urafa, they say we accept that, but at the same time our behavior, in the way we conduct our life, and the veil that we create in front of our eyes makes the Imam invisible to us. Otherwise, the Imam is around. We don't see the Imam because of the veil that exists in front of our. And the verse in the Holy Quran, فَبَصَرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ, you can reach a point in which the veil is removed. We can, through submission and working hard and the spirituality that they have, that we talked about earlier, reach a point in which the veil are removed. Once the veils are removed, you can see the Imam, and the Imam would communicate with you. There are a number of scholars that would reject, they say even searching for the Imam in Masjid al-Kufa or Masjid al-Sahla or other places or Jamkaran is a useless exercise. What you really need to do is to conduct your life in which your house become Masjid al-Sahla. And if you do that, Imam will come to you rather than you go and search for the Imam. So Imam is around. It's just a matter of us falling in line and purifying our souls. If we can purify our heart where it becomes a reflection for the divine, once it gets to that stage, Imam is visible for us. There is nothing hidden in this world. Remember the hadith that we have talked about, this hadith repeatedly. Abdi ata'ni aj'aluka mathali ana aqul kun fayakun wa anta taqul kun fayakun. Through submission, you reach a level that you have almost all of these powers that I grant you. The same way that I say be and it exists, you can say the same thing. Be and everything will be. Go and read the life of Marhum Allama Qadi and a few of these mystical figures, that they really had the power, Allah had granted them the power to be able to do certain things that under normal circumstance for us that are detached from sacredness of the essence of sacredness is the world, is practically impossible. One of them is willful death, that Urafa, they say you cannot become an Arif until you are fully in control to remove your soul from your body willfully and then return back. So these are part of the things that we have. So literally, if we want to focus on this, the leadership of the world and the great transformation that we need to take place requires two things. Briefly. Number one, a just plan of action or a strategy, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divine guidelines. And number two, a pure soul who encapsulates justice. Why? Because unfortunately human being failed to deliver justice. The more educated they become, the more enlightened they become, the more technologically advanced they become, the more selfish and self-centered they become. And because of that, over many years and decades, just look at the during the past century, everybody thought this technological advancement, enlightenment and everything else is going to create a much better world for human being to coexist. Far from it. How can we look at what is going on in Gaza and in Palestine and other places, and humanity is dead? I just texted or forwarded a picture of what people of Gaza now are eating. Grass are cooked and turned into some kind of a bread. And these people the Palestinians are saying either the Zionists are killing us or the the hunger. And then what do we have? Caravans of lorries and trucks are being organized from Emirat to go, not to support the Palestinian children, women and so on, but to go and support the Zionists. Huge amount of money to be spent to go and support the Zionists. I remember when I was a student and was reading the story of Andalus around 14th century, beginning of 15th century. It was one of the shameful period in the history of Andalus in which Muslims began to conspire with the Christians and others against Muslims. Because Spain, after disintegration, or Andalus after disintegration, they became enclaves. Amir here would use the Christian power to corroborate with them or collaborate with them against another Amir, another Muslim power. And I kept thinking, how can that be? I mean, Muslims, you go and you work with their enemy against another Muslim group? This is worse. You don't have any shame to see that these children, over 42,000 women and children have been killed during the last 4 months. And what do we expect from a regime that killed 1.5 million Iraqi civilians? And they said, the minister said it was worthwhile. I refer to these people as collateral damage. So human beings are, when Allah decides to return or make the Imam visible, is the end of the period of patience, so to speak. Patience of Allah, waiting for the humans to decide that it is enough. Tyranny, injustice, inequality and everything is enough, and we need to do something. Once you don't, then Allah says, okay, I will do it for you, but this world will come to an end very quickly. So the first component that is necessary is, as I said, the divine guidelines. And the second one is a pure soul that encapsulates justice, and there is not an ounce of selfishness in it. This is the concept of isma and purity that exists. And so divine guidance as well as the infallible Ma'soom Imam are necessary. Everything that happened after the demise of the Holy Prophet, with the concept of Saqifa and everything else, clearly proved if the leader, if the Imam, if the person in charge is not Ma'soom, this is a recipe for disaster. It's a matter of when rather than matter of if. We are still paying the price. So Imam al-Mahdi is the only person that is capable of guidance through and assisted by divine guidance. Now, what is our responsibility during this time? We have a hadith that says, أفضل أعمال أمتي انتظار الفرج. Intidharul Faraj has been interpreted in both positive and negative way. In the negative way, I explained it a little bit earlier, that you really don't need to do anything. You just sit back, wait for the Imam to come. The positive way, that says, no, we really need to do our best, even when the challenge and the power against us is so overwhelming. We still have to stand up and do our best, because at the end of the day, when Imam comes back, it needs a group of people that are trained, well equipped, both spiritually and physically, ready to move under his guidance forward. Another one is for us to be able to get closer to the Imam. Tawbah, staying away from sinfulness and shortcomings, looking at our shortcomings, are necessary on a regular basis. Before you go to sleep, sit down and imagine that you are communicating with the Imam. I want to give you a metaphor and wrap it up here, and then inshallah might continue with it. If Imam appears today and appoint to each one of us and says, sister, brother, I have appointed you as my deputy, and you are responsible to look after the affair of your community, and then you come back to me at night and report back what you have done, what you have seen. My question is it possible for any of us or such a person to commit any sins at all? at least I see it, it's not. Because the moment you want to confront any shortcomings, you think, I'm going to see the Imam at night and I'm going to report. Wouldn't I be ashamed of what I have done during the day? That's how we should behave on a normal basis during the absence. This is the intidar which is positive, that really changes our way of life. Not a way of life that is corrupt, and we pay lip service to the Imam on the 15th of Sha'ban or Laylatul Qadr, and that's it. Imam wants those people who stay away from haram, stay away from sinfulness, stay away from everything else, because we may not see the Imam, but Imam sees us. And according to hadith, our akhbar and the affairs of our society is given to the Imam on a daily basis. This is your ummah, what your ummah is doing. So, and there is another hadith which I want to mention it. We hurt the Imam the way we behave. This hadith from Imam, لَقَدْ آذُونَا جُهَلَاءَ الشِّيَعَةِ, is a scathing attack against the Shia. آذُونَا جُهَلَاءَ الشِّيَعَةِ وَحُمَقَاءَهُمْ وَمَنْ دِينُهُ جَنَاحُ الْبَعْمُضَةِ أَرْجَحُ مِنْهُ. The illiterate and the foolish of our partisan or the Shias have hurt us. These are individuals that their faith, the wing of a mosquito, is worth more than their faith. And then under such circumstance, we want the Imam, the visibility to come back for us and for us to be visible and to meet the Imam on a regular basis. It's not possible. So intidar, the positive intidar, is for us to transform our life and be active and take attempt at least. Istid'af means I do my best, but against overwhelming power. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once we do this, stay away from it. If Arafah on a regular basis had a meeting with the Imam and with other prophets. Why? Because the veil wasn't there. Ayatollah Bajat says, I had a conversation with Prophet Khidr, and I have no reason why to doubt his conversation or his claim. These are there with the Imams, are there. If only us, we start becoming more sacredly orientated and spiritually centered, and we pay less and less attention to the physical, to the material life. Remember what Imam Hussein salawatullah salam alayhi said just before, "An-nasu abidu dunya." As long as we are servant and attached and shackled to the material life, any elevation and spirituality is not going to happen. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.